This year's conference theme is Humans First. In a world that demanded you to perform your way into belonging, you chose to feel instead. What does Humans First mean to you now, personally, spiritually, and in your work with others?
That's a good question. For me, human first means now, it means feeling rather than being disassociated. It means seeing a reflection of yourself in other people. And you can't see a reflection of yourself in other people if you can't feel. So it's getting out of your head and really getting into your heart, which is what happened with me. I learned to trust my instincts. I learned to trust my inspiration. My inner guide has led me to where I am now.
So the next question is, you speak to those still carrying brilliance beneath their silence. As coaches and coach trainers, how can we create spaces safe enough and brave enough for that brilliance to emerge, especially for those navigating identity-based trauma or exclusion?
That's another real good question. I would say what I've learned is that everybody shares something very similar, and that is a desire to be seen, heard, and valued. As a coach, as a leader, you have to make sure that you are demonstrating that you are creating space for people to be seen, heard, and valued, which means think about this as a coach. When you go into somebody's life, it's not about you. It's about them. So it's making sure that you don't get in the way of them being able to process what they need to process inside themselves to find their own power, to find their own magic, because each person that you work with has their own magic. And sometimes as coaches, we be so busy wanting to hear ourselves that we don't get a chance to let the person, the client, hear themselves and us give back to them what they have said as a gift to themselves and not knowing it.
ACTO acknowledges Juneteenth in this year's programming. What is the relationship between ancestral remembrance, liberation, and the kind of coaching work that truly honors identity?
Hmm. Wow. I love these questions because these questions force us to examine things on a deeper level than we probably normally would. The role our ancestors play is that's we are our ancestors. We are a continuation of where they left off. And so you have to find your place and where they left off to make sure that you continue and you complete the work that you were assigned to do. We all have a certain work that are assigned to do based on our genetic pool spiritually, that we are continuing that work for our families, for those who have came and for those who are still here. So I would say the role it plays is keeping us rooted in what matters most, and the idea that human beings are spirit beings too. Underneath all this, the skin and bones is a spirit that's connected to everything and everybody.
You've helped leaders remember how to be human again. What is one question you wish coach training organizations would ask more often as they prepare people to sit with others in their humanity?
Wow. I would ask practitioners, coaches to examine how much of their ego is getting into their coaching, how much of it is spilling over, to be honest enough with ourselves to see when our ego is spilling over and how that is interfering with that person's pure opportunity to experience themselves. I think as a coach, our job is to be the ultimate mirrors to reflect back to people what their communication is creating for them in their own life that they are unconscious of.
There's a sacredness in your story. The silence, the protest, the spiritual study, the healing. What lessons are you still learning about wholeness as you guide others toward theirs?
Wow, that's the lesson that I'm still learning is that people are always dealing with something. When you meet people, they have their own traumas, they have their own things that they're trying to overcome. So what you have to do is you have to create capacity within yourself to be able to hold the fact that just like you are still in process, people that you work with are still in process. Oftentimes we want people to be further off than what they are because we don't see where we really are. We got to keep up with where we really are, that we are still growing and developing. I'm still learning. And what I'm learning as I get older is how important spirituality is to this work, how important it is for us to acknowledge the things about ourselves that are unseen that impact all the results that we do see.
If you could leave the ACTO community with one embodied reminder about the path forward for your profession, what would it be?
It would be for us to build capacity for difference and create space for the idea that people are not going to have the same perspective as you. People have when we encourage people to be in touch with their power, we must understand that we are encouraging them to be in touch with their choice, their decisions, their perspective, and owning that their perspective is always different from ours, even though they may be similar. But if we are really being our authentic self, our perspectives are different. And we have to, as leaders, as coaches, we have to build a capacity within our communication, within our mind, to be able to embrace the fact that a person thinks differently than we do and wants to take a different route than we do without making it wrong or without making it right, but just supporting it as a human being having their human experience.